How are we doing today? Joe Pastore with Platinum Method Coaching. And today our topic is the big one, the custody evaluation. So here's where the rubber meets the road. So I want to start with a story from the Bible, which you're probably familiar with. Solomon makes a difficult decision. It can be found in first book of Kings, 3:16 to 28, and it's in the contemporary English version. Now, one day, two women came to King Solomon, and one of them said, "Your Majesty, this woman and I live in the same house, and not too long ago, my baby was born at home, and 3 days later, her baby was born. Nobody else was there with us. One night when we were all sleeping, she rolled over on her baby, and he died. Then while I was still asleep, she got up and took my son out of bed. She put him in her bed, and then she put the dead baby next to me. In the morning when I got up to feed my son, I saw that he was dead. But when I looked at him in the light, I knew he wasn't my son." "No," shouted the other woman. "He was your son. My baby's alive." "The dead baby is yours," the first woman yelled. "Mine is alive." And they argued back and forth in front of Solomon, until he finally said, "Both of you say this baby is yours. Someone, bring me a sword." A sword was brought in, and Solomon ordered, "Cut the baby in half. That way each of you can have half." Then one of the women said, "Please don't kill my son," the baby's real mother screamed. "Your Majesty, I love him very much, but give him to her. Just don't kill him." The other woman shouted, "Go ahead and cut him in half. Then neither of us will have the baby." Solomon said, "Don't kill the baby." Then he pointed to the first woman. "She's the real mother. Give the baby to her." Everyone in Israel was amazed when they heard how Solomon had made his decision. They realized that God had given him the judgment, the wisdom to judge fairly. Now, there are many lessons we can take from this story. And the first is that both the judge and the custody evaluator are trying to look out for the best interest of the child, not your best interest. And while you may think that, as a parent, the child being with you all the time or the majority of the time isn't necessarily in the child's best interest, or at least the court may not see it that way. Now, both the judge and the evaluator are looking to see who's the parent that's willing to share and act in the best interest of the child. Now, think of both the judge and the custody evaluator as King Solomon, and you need to make your case why you're a good parent. Now, if you have a major disagreement on custody or allegations that one of you is a bad parent, or you may be doing something that's putting the child in harm's way, most likely the judge will order a custody evaluation. A judge will rarely rely on who the better parent is without getting an expert's opinion, and usually that's the custody evaluator. Now, what is a custody evaluation and what should you expect? Child custody evaluations are frequently ordered by the courts when the parents disagree about custody, or the judge believes that a detailed assessment of the family would be helpful in determining the child's best interest, because they don't really know. The child custody evaluator, also called a custody evaluator or just evaluator, works with the family as a neutral and impartial professional. The evaluator is not an advocate for either parent. The evaluator's primary responsibility is to assist the court. Now, qualified evaluators are mental health professionals who have specialized training and experience in family law matters in addition to their basic professional qualifications. The 730 evaluation is a study of a family, its members, and their relationship with the intent of restructuring parental rights and responsibilities concerning their children. An evaluation may be requested by the parents or ordered by a judge when the parties can't decide on the best custody arrangements for their child. There must be evidence to support their position in a judge. Not knowing the family will depend on the opinion of the mental health professional to describe the parties involved and the nature of their interaction. The evaluation usually includes a recommendation that would be for the best interest of the child. And that goes to the court, and the court is usually inclined to accept that opinion, because why would they override the opinion of an evaluator? That's exactly why they order it. Now, qualified persons to conduct the evaluation might include a marriage, family, or child counselor, a licensed clinical social worker, or a psychologist. Child custody evaluations consist of several elements, and these include interviews of each parent, interviews of the child, depending on the age, observations of the interactions between each parent, the children, psychological testing of each parent, psychological testing of the children in certain cases, review of collateral documents, such as school and health records, review of case-related documents, such as pleadings and depositions, interviews of other people who may know the family, as well as teachers and physicians. Now, detailed questionnaires covering the parents' personal history and relationships with the children are often included as well. Child custody evaluations can be pretty thorough. Comprehensive child custody evaluations take place over several weeks and sometimes several months, and usually cost between $5,000 and $25,000, depending on the scope of the evaluation. Costs are often split in some fashion between the two parents. Now, child custody evaluations focus on assessing the psychological and parenting strengths and weaknesses of each parent, the psychological status and needs of each child, the quality of each parent's relationship with the children, and other factors in particular case. Now, evaluators assess factors such as psychological health of each parent, the impact of any psychological problems on their parenting ability, each parent's ability to accurately understand and meet the children's needs, each parent's ability to support the children's relationship with the other parent, the child's perception of each parent and the quality of the relationship with the parent, the presence of or absence of any special needs in the children, and each parent's ability and willingness to address any special needs in that particular case. It also looks at how the children's development status is going along, and you want to come up with an age-appropriate parenting plan. Now, the overall goal is to achieve an in-depth understanding of the family so as to offer conclusions and recommendations to assist the court in determining the best parenting plan for the children involved. Now, in most cases, the evaluator will offer specific recommendations to the court for both legal and physical custody of the children. Judges are not required to follow the evaluator's recommendations, but they usually give significant weight to their opinions. The information obtained in a comprehensive child custody evaluation is usually summarized in a detailed written report, which is used by the evaluator to the judge, or given to the judge by the evaluator, and to the attorneys. The evaluators may also testify in depositions or court hearings to offer then conclusions in their recommendations. Generally, a custody evaluation will take into account past and present relationships between parents and children, each parent's ability and willingness to provide for their children's financial, physical, and emotional well-being, determine if there's any shortcomings or roadblocks that will potentially interfere with the parent's ability to care for or maintain a healthy relationship with the children, the willingness of the parents to encourage good communication between the children and the other parent, no matter who has custody, and this helps foster a good relationship. It also looks at collateral contacts, oftentimes a new relationship between one parent or the other, or both, with a new romantic partner. Close extended family may be part of the process as well. Now, it's hard to define all the elements that any specific custody evaluation will cover. There are no guarantees of a fair outcome. You can expect that a comprehensive custody evaluation will include most, if not all, of the following experiences. Detailed interviews. These interviews will typically include parents, children, step-parents, or new significant others in either of the parents' lives. It may also include extended family members. These are often referred to as collateral interviews. And they'll involve people who may have meaningful knowledge of the children and the parents and their interaction. It will also include psychological testing of both parents. This could extend to step-parents or significant others for either of the parents. Observations and interactions between the children and each parent in a neutral setting using various techniques. Now, the way that works is more often than not, the technique of choice will involve some sort of playtime or something you'd naturally be doing, like having dinner, watching you do homework with the kids, something like that. Joint sessions to observe how the parents interact with one another in a controlled environment. They want to listen to how you speak, your tone, your gestures, your language, your body language, etc. It will certainly include home visits to each of the parents' residences, and review of the relevant court documents and any material related to the case. If the children attend school, expect a review of report cards, attendance records, behavioral records, etc., for the current year and possibly even for prior years. Now, in reading the official custody evaluation report, you're going to experience a myriad of emotions, and many of which may not be good. No matter what a great parent you are and how qualified you are, there will be notes in the final custody evaluation report that are going to point out your weaknesses, both as a parent and as a person. It can get pretty upsetting. There's going to be a lot of psychobabble, and try not to get caught up too much in the detail. Focus more on the conclusion. Then you can inspect it for errors, although there's not usually going to be much recourse. Once you receive it, you'll most likely not have any more contact with the evaluator. So look for negative portions about the other parent that may be useful in court. Listen to what your lawyer says about the strategy you should use coming out of it. But whatever you do, don't let it get under your skin. I mean, the good and the bad news is that the judge will most likely accept the conclusion. And most likely, some negative elements about both of you are going to be exposed. More than most likely, almost certainly. So, no one enjoys hearing those things, and some of them can be quite damaging. But you just have to kind of roll through it, look at the conclusion, and don't panic. Now, choosing a custody evaluator. As true in any profession, there are good evaluators and bad evaluators. There's a huge variability in the training and experience of the evaluators. Unfortunately, having an evaluator recommended by the court does not guarantee that he or she has the necessary experience to conduct a thorough and comprehensive custody evaluation in your particular case. In some instances, being on a family court list may mean little more than having the minimum credentials, and that too varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so there's no consistency there. Since an evaluator has almost unlimited authority in writing their reports, which essentially decides the outcome of a custody dispute, you should take time to choose one who's both qualified and experienced. How do you find a competent and experienced custody evaluator? Be prepared to do some research by having your attorney contact the evaluator. A good place to start is with evaluators that your divorce attorney has previously worked with. Because if they have a relationship, that's probably a good thing. Remember, as well, that both parents need to be in agreement over the evaluator, so you may know somebody or heard they're great, but the other parent has to agree to it as well. Now, what are some of the things that you and your divorce attorney should do before the evaluation? First, carefully review the evaluator's background. Find out how many custody evaluations they've conducted. Find out how many times the custody evaluator has testified at a custody trial. Find out if the evaluator favors joint custody or writes recommendations that are favorable towards mothers or fathers or both parents. If parental alienation or any other special circumstances are an issue in your custody case, i.e., any kind of addictions, domestic violence, religion, relocation, find out if the evaluator has experience in these areas as well, and how they lean in those particular cases. Now, whenever possible, choose an evaluator who's a member of PACE, which is the Professional Academy of Custody Evaluators. It's a private, nonprofit corporation. Membership is its primary goal is to register custody evaluators based on specific criteria and to disseminate information concerning the education, training, experience of the custody evaluator. You can contact PACE at 1-800-633-7223 or send an email to pace@pace-custody.org to find out if your evaluator is a registered member. Now, using a private practice evaluator who's not part of any group or team and who does not answer to anyone, it can be problematic if personal bias or incompetency becomes an issue. Being in business for themselves and having no authority to answer to means they may have no oversight applied to their report or recommendations. So have your attorney request information from the evaluator about their professional credentials. And make sure they ask for particulars on how many years of experience do they have? What's their educational background and their degree? What's their opinion on joint custody arrangements? And what's the ratio of father/mother recommendations? How often they go with dad, how often they go with mom, etc. Now pay particularly close attention to which parent the evaluator has recommended for custody in the past. Does the evaluator consistently find that the mother is the preferred parent? How often does he or she find that the father should be the primary parent? An impartial parenting evaluator should not favor either gender in their decision. If the past record suggests that his or her determinations are historically lopsided or gender biased, then you may want to avoid this particular evaluator. So, preparation for the custody evaluation. What should you do? First, the obvious. Take a deep breath and don't panic. Be honest, be yourself. Of course, you want to make a good impression. But this means being true to yourself, both to the evaluator's office and when they come to your home. Don't try to manipulate the evaluator, and definitely don't try to coach your children. However, talk to your children about what to expect from the custody evaluator so they're not totally put on the defensive or they're really nervous about it. They could be frightened or confused by the evaluation process, so it's your job to really try to relax them a bit. They may even wonder if the decision will be determined by what they say, and that can be a big burden for kids to carry. Just explain to the children that the custody evaluator is trying to learn about your family in order to help both parents work together in different households. Encourage them to tell the truth, and here are some following ways, a little more specific. One is, of course, listen to your lawyer. Make sure you understand the process and the role of the evaluator. The evaluator is an independent expert. They're not your friend, counselor, or advocate. Do not assume that they're on your side. Their job is to objectively assess what's best for your children. Remember that King Solomon story. Next, be prepared for your meeting. This includes meetings at the evaluator's office, as well as the ones that are going to be at your home. Do not cancel. Do not try to arrive early. Just try to be on time. First impressions are very important. You should prepare a list of questions that you have. This can help you stay focused on the conversation. And don't forget to ask something. Make sure when they come to your home that it's clean, orderly, but most importantly, make sure it's child-friendly. You should also get the names of collateral witnesses early so you can vet them before providing this news to the evaluator. Make sure that they do have positive things to say about your parenting relationships. Next, have a positive attitude. Nobody wants to listen to a complainer. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to express any concerns you have about the other parent. Be sure that you're not bad-mouthing them in any way. You need to make the case why you're a good parent, not why the other parent is a bad one. They're going to assume that you're going to lie and try to smear them. So focus on doing something that's going to help you, which is explaining and giving specific examples about why are you a good parent. Try to objectively share your strengths and weaknesses. Try to objectively share their strengths and weaknesses. If you do have something negative to say about the other parent, couch it as, I'm concerned about, or how this may impact the children. If the other parent has made questionable parenting decisions, it should be stated about how it affects the children's welfare. In addition, don't make any allegations against the other parent that cannot be supported by specific evidence. Be mindful when coming with the strengths and weaknesses and how these reflect on your custody goals. We'll mention that in a bit. Next, stick to parenting issues. Don't mix marital concerns with parenting issues. Acknowledge both of your strengths and weaknesses as a parent. Being a poor spouse does not make someone a bad parent. Using the interview with the evaluator to recount the other parent's poor choices and insensitivity in your marriage, it's not going to help you gain custody of your children. It could even create the impression that you'd be reluctant to support their interaction with the other parent, and that's the last thing you want to do. You should also make an effort to answer the questions that are being asked, rather than using it as a jumping off point to state your case or to bash the other parent. Be sure to cooperate. Be cooperative in every sense. Answer all the questions asked by the evaluator. Also, make sure that you follow through on anything and everything that the evaluator asks you to do prior to the next meeting. Most likely, you'll need to provide the contact information for several people whom you know or who know your family very well, and you're going to need to sign release forms to permit the evaluator to speak to these individuals. Follow up promptly with any requests for additional information. Next, focus on what's in the best interest of your children. Keep the focus on the well-being of your children and what's best for them. Acknowledge the benefits of having a positive relationship with both parents. Be prepared to genuinely discuss what's in their best interest. It may be helpful to role-play this experience with a friend who can point out areas where your phrasing may reveal self-interest instead of the best interest of the children. Remember, they're looking to confirm that you are the parent who's willing to share and support a relationship between your children and the other parent. Next, be yourself. Don't forget who you are. Interact warmly with your children. Also have some of your children's favorite activities, such as board games, coloring books. Make sure that that's handy for them to use during the custody evaluation home visit. Seeing the kids thriving in your home setting, as opposed to being glued to the TV or video game system, will leave the evaluator with a real sense of home and family that you've created. Next, less is more. Don't provide unnecessary information. Pay attention to what the evaluator says and answer questions without going off topic. If you have something that you feel the evaluator must know, or he or she will most likely ask for information at the end of the evaluation, wait until that point. Do not force your views on the evaluator before they ask you to provide it. Goes without saying, don't try to manipulate the evaluator. Most child custody evaluations include observation with you and your children. During this observation, you may want to be attentive to your children, but you also never want to prep them to say certain things. If you do, chances are the evaluator will detect this and will have negative impact on your case. You and your spouse are already in a highly polarized position. You'll best serve your children by recognizing that, with the help of an experienced professional, it might be exactly what you and the other parent need. Now, this means you need to cooperate with the evaluator rather than trying to get something out of the evaluation. Look at the evaluator as the person who may actually be the one to help you and your spouse come to a better understanding of your children's need and what's best for your family. Make sure you're flexible to different custody and visitation arrangements. Make sure you can articulate a specific plan. You can clearly explain your preference on a particular schedule, but don't go over it again and again. Not every parent has an ideal living arrangement or situation for the custody that they want. You can put yourself in a better light by creating a realistic, detailed plan with different options. I said earlier, and I'll say it again, stay in your lane. If you're not a psychologist, don't pretend to be one. Don't try to analyze it. Just be yourself. If you have concerns, I'm concerned about it. Not this is a horrible person. I'm a good father because blah, blah, blah. Now, I've been through 2 custody evaluations, and I came out both of them with more custody. So listen to what I have to say about this. I've got it down, and there's wisdom in my words. Your lawyer is not the best person to listen to on this subject. I mean, I'm not saying to ignore them, but I'm just saying they're not necessarily experts on custody evaluations. I've written a book on it. I've done it twice, and I hope I can help you with yours. So anyway, this is Joe Pastore with Platinum Method Coaching in My Custody Coach. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me at joe@platinummethodcoaching.com. I look forward to your questions, your comments, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Until then, make it a great day.